So someone asked us, do we have favorite characters of our own? Characters that we have
And when
created?
Susan first said this, I was thinking about characters in books I'd written that were favorites of mine. But no, the question is my characters I wrote.
Characters that you have created.
And here's the thing. I have created 4 children. And so on any given day, one might be a favorite. But I really don't have favorites. I love them all differently. I do. We all have very unique relationships, but I love them all with a great passion. I don't think you could measure one against the other.
This problem is solved by only having one child.
There you go.
Which I did.
Susan's son is her favorite.
TJ, I love you the best. You are the best.
Yeah, and I only have one son, so you could say I do have one best son and 3
that
daughters.
You love the most.
But it's the same thing with characters, and I have said things for years, and if the character I'm working on right now is not my favorite,
something's wrong.
Then I'm doing something wrong.
Something's wrong.
So I think each and every character I've written has, at some point, it's kind of like I have a favorite child on any given day.
Because it depends on what they've been doing lately.
Yes. So it's the same thing with characters, and that given day tends to be the scope of when I write a book. Mm-hmm. That character, those characters are favorites because, and I'm living with them so intimately at that point that you're tearing apart. You're asking yourself, what would they do? How would they handle it? And they talk to you in your head, like Susan just mentioned an episode ago about. So those are favorites. Those are my favorites. So I think that's the only way I can answer that. I can't say, and there's some that have stuck out for whatever reason.
And I think that there are small pieces of us in different characters as well. So, like, again, it's not like we actually make one character that's all like us, God forbid, because, yuck. But there are small pieces of us, I think, in certain characters. And I probably, if I were pushed and shoved and had to pick one,
right,
I think I would have to pick my very first heroine, only because she was very special, and she is the reason that they bought that book. So I kind of have to have a little bit of a warm spot for her, and yet, like Holly said, if the one that you're writing right now is not the one that you're like so enamored with and in love with, then something's not right, because you're done with the other ones, and you're not to the new ones yet.
And there are certainly books or characters in books that hold a very special part of my heart that maybe not every character has. When I wrote Briarhill Road, it was an homage to my mother-in-law who had died from breast cancer. And so it was, and I say it all the time, it's the most autobiographical piece of fiction I've ever written. How my characters react in the book are not how I reacted. It's not how my family reacted, and yet that entire situation, that sense of loss, that knowing what's coming, and taking care of somebody who's sick, was intimately real for me. So those characters will always hold a very special part of my heart because of that. Just one thing, for many reasons, the characters in that really stuck to me. And Carrie Her Heart, which you were just holding up the audiobook, but that character is a writer, and so there are pieces of me in that book that maybe don't go in all of them. She's a kindergarten story lady, which I was for years. And by the way, I was at a doctor appointment, and the girl at the registration desk said, "Didn't you used to come to St. John's and read?" And I'm like, "Yes." And she said, "I remember you reading the books," but she said, "You know what I remember most?" I'm like, "What?" She said, "I'm being swallowed by a boa constrictor." And so as we're filling out paperwork, you can see her singing it in her mind to see if she still remembers it. She goes, "Yeah, I still know it." And I'm like, "Oh, I'm thrilled." So for me, that was special because that's something I did for years and years and years that was special to me that isn't a character. So, yeah.
Well, and again, there are certain things that we do. We steal some things from our lives that we put in there, and some things from locations that we know. And which one is it? I guess the last one in the Hawkins trilogy right now, A Promise to Keep. That one's dedicated to my kid. And it says, and he knows why. And he does know why. And I'm not going to say why. But
in a public venue. That
in
makes
a
you a
public
good mom.
venue. I'm not going to say why. But if you read that book, you know, there are things in that book that are lifted from my life. And
he knows.
He knows what those are. And, you know, again, it's just a fun, it's just a fun little thing that he and I can share now and look back and laugh on.
Right.
You know, it wasn't funny at the time, but we can look back now and laugh on it. And, you know, so it's just those little tidbits of reality. And I think that's also what lends some authenticity to what we write.
I definitely think
we might
so.
not ever admit the parts
that
are there, but...
No, not in a public venue.
No.
But yeah, I really think that
it's hard to have a favorite. It really is.
If you're writing characters who are not the favorite as you're writing them, I will stick with you're doing something wrong. I think you have to be semi in love with that hero. You have to want to be best friends with that heroine.
Exactly.
And find things to connect with, or it's not going to go well.
Right. Or you've got too much distance between you and the characters, and it's not, you know, and that carries through to readers.
I think so.
I do too.
And I really do genuinely love my characters. And some of the older books I wrote, when you go back and look at them, you're like, oh, if I wrote that today, I'd do X, Y, and Z, and I did A, B, and C. And yet I stand by them. I think they were definitely lighter books back then. I think there were still moments of depth in them, and I still remember writing those characters, and I'm like, oh, I remember why I loved you.
Exactly.
I remember.
And that's actually the fun, and from a reader perspective as well, to go back and revisit an older book that you loved some time ago, because if there was a good connection, that connection comes right back to you.
Yeah, I bought all the Heinlein. There's a collection after he died, the Virginia collection. His wife put together. They're all leather bound. These are such beautiful books. Leather bound.
Sound gorgeous.
And acid-free paper and just gorgeous books. So it's a different reading experience when I pick up one of my old favorites and read it in that format, because I just had dime store paperbacks that now have, you know, the acid's eaten away, the bindings are falling off. Yep. So to open these beautiful pristine ones, I just pull one out every now and then just for kicks and giggles.
My mom for Christmas gave me a box set of Little House books.
Oh, nice.
Because those were favorites of mine.
I love those. So, all right, favorite characters. If you have a favorite character of ours, we'd love to hear it and why.
Absolutely.
And thank you for visiting my office.
And we will see you next time.